Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Georgia Drews. I'm the Associate Director of Admissions here at Newman University. And you have joined us this evening. It's a little after 6 o'clock for our virtual health science Q&A session. Again, my name is Georgia. I work in the Office of Admissions. We're hosting tonight's event. My information is below, and I will be managing the chat tonight if you have any questions. So feel free to put questions in the chat at any point. We'll also be using questions that you had submitted in advance on your RSVP. We have an awesome opportunity for you to talk to various program directors tonight for our healthcare professions at Newman University. If you're not familiar with us, I know we had some out-of-town people RSVP. Newman is a small private Catholic college located in the heart of Wichita, Kansas. We have many different undergraduate programs, but a thriving health professions area, and we have a variety of different programs for you to choose from. I know several people that RSVP'd are still exploring or really undecided on what type of healthcare field they want to go into. So this is a good opportunity to learn how they differ and which might be a good fit for you. Although she's unable to join us tonight, I did want to introduce you to our Dean of the School of Healthcare Professionals, Jerry Tyrell. She has been with us since January, so she is new to Newman University, but leads our School of Healthcare Professionals, including all of the programs you're going to hear from tonight. So we have about 45 minutes for tonight's event. We want to keep it short and sweet for you, but give you the information that you need. We are recording tonight's event, and it will be posted to our FlyNewmanU YouTube page after today. First up, we're going to hear from Timothy Cho from our Respiratory Care program to tell you a little bit more about respiratory care.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Tim Cho. I'm the program director here for the Respiratory Care program. And I guess one question you might have is, what is a respiratory therapist? And basically, we are highly specialized clinicians who focus on cardiac, which is the heart, and pulmonary or lung systems. We take care of newborns all the way up to the oldest members of our society. We work in outpatient clinics doing education and rehab services for like heart and lung rehab. And we also take care of critically ill patients who are on life support and mechanical ventilation. We also participate in flight crews that transfer critically ill patients from one hospital to another. So what kind of therapies do we do? You may have heard of breathing treatments or nebulizers or inhalers. We do those, help patients perform those. We do patient assessments in hospitals where we evaluate and start therapy for newly admitted patients. And we also manage and work with the life support or mechanical ventilators. COVID has really increased our demand. And recently there's been significant bumps in pay due to the need for respiratory therapists. There's a huge deficit of respiratory therapists in the Wichita area. And I think it's kind of that way throughout all of healthcare, which is a good thing for students. We have an application period that starts in February. We take one group a year, and in 3 semesters, basically fall semester, spring semester, and then another fall semester, you'll be done with the program. It leads to an associate's degree, and many of our grads want to pursue a bachelor's while they're working, which is very doable while working full time. It sort of limits your debt and things like that. So like all the programs at Newman, we have a great relationship with the hospitals here, and it provides us a huge amount of clinical experience, a great diversity of experiences, and basically it prepares our students to be excellent clinicians upon graduation. So, for example, in the last 4 or 5 years, all of our students have received job offers before even graduating. And except for one student, all of our graduates have obtained the RRT credential, which is our highest credential. And so overall, it's a great value. We have great outcomes with our program. So that's all I had for that.
Thanks, Tim. Up next, we're going to hear from our director of the nursing program, Teresa Vetter.
Hi, I'm Teresa Vetter, and I am the director for the Newman nursing program. And we have a nursing program for those who have not licensed yet. That is a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. It's a 4-year degree. We are looking to transition students from a student role into professional nursing practice. What do nurses do? Many of you are probably somewhat familiar with nurses and seeing what they do, but really, what nurses do is a lot of thinking. Nurses, along with the task and the things you see them doing of giving medications, giving shots, are also oftentimes coordinating all of the healthcare team to bring all the different disciplines together to provide healthcare for an individual or for a group. They also are solving puzzles. Nurses are often the ones that spend the most time with patients and are needing to recognize, hey, something's changing, something's different. What's going on? What do I need to do? Who else do I need to call to help me out with this? When do I need somebody else because I need, say, a physician to give me new orders to do something different? It's that always putting pieces together and always keeping people safe. Nurses do a lot of advocating for patients and groups and, what do they need? How can they get it? What's available? And looking at even the overall healthcare system and seeing, how can we help set policies that make changes? How can we do something different? Nursing is, as Tim talked about, for respiratory therapy. We have a shortage of nurses. It is a field where there is a very open selection of what you're interested in working in. We provide care, again, like Tim said, from the newborn all the way to the elderly, from the beginning of life to the end of life. And we do that care in all different places. Most new nurses, when they finish their education, go to work in a hospital because you get to see a lot in the hospital. And so it helps you really firm up your knowledge and your skills and get those experiences. But nurses then may do all different kinds of nursing. They may work in schools. They may work in industry, they may work in government, they may work in research. There is just a really broad spectrum. And then also, of course, that broad spectrum of working with all different ages. And so someone who completes our nursing program is what we call a generalist. They're ready to do entry-level nursing with any different ages and different settings. So our program prepares one to take the licensing exam. It's a national license exam, and then to receive a license from either the state that they're planning to work in, or we now have a program that's called a multi-state license, where 39 states in the United States I've partnered into a compact that if you have a nursing license, you can work in any one of those states. So it really opens up that opportunity for where you can go and what you can do. The program is 4 years. The first 2 years are usually spent doing general education and nursing prerequisite courses for the degree. And then the nursing program itself is 2 years of curriculum. And so that'll be 2 fall and 2 spring semesters. We don't do any nursing classes in the summer. And so we leave summer as an opportunity to get different experiences. We actually admit twice a year. So we bring in a brand new cohort of nursing students every fall semester in August, and then again in the spring semester in January. We're usually bringing in about 32 students each term. And so we have an application process that opens up each semester. So February 1st, we'll open up applications for those who want to apply for the fall start date. And September 1st is when we just opened up our applications for those interested in the January start date for this coming like September of 2023 semester, or the spring of 2023 semester. So the closing time for our applications, we actually do kind of a rolling admission, and we accept applications until we've filled the cohort. And so that may be anywhere from closing in, say, November or April, to that we may leave it open until almost time for classes to start. We do require a minimum cumulative grade point average of 2.85. And when we calculate that grade point average, we're only calculating off of those courses that apply to the Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So sometimes that can look a little different than what maybe if you're at a community college looking at your transcript there, and not all of those classes will be used for your Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Your GPA may look a little different, but we actually can help calculate that for you and are certainly always available to talk with anyone who's interested in nursing to give you more information.
Thanks, Teresa. Next up, we're going to hear from Jeff Vaughn, the director of our Radiologic Technology Program.
Hi, as Georgia said, my name is Jeff Vaughn. I'm the director of the Radiology Technology Program, and our program is it's 5 semesters long. It's essentially 2 years, but we do go during the summer for 1 summer. It says spots, where is 21. We can actually take up to right now we accepted 26 for this year, so it varies depending on clinical space. Our application process opens up the 15th of January and it closes April the 1st. And we also have a minimum GPA requirement of 2.75. And what happens is the only classes I look at are the prerequisite courses. There's only about 6 courses that are prerequisites. And so if you can actually take these courses all, be able to, as long as you're finished with all the prerequisites by the summer prior starting in the fall, you can still apply. So, and then once we get to the point to where after April 1st, a couple of weeks after that, we'll do interviews and then we'll go from there. So there'll be some things that you would need to do during the summer. So, and we would let you know at that time what those things are. Our students are in the last 3 years, we have every student we have graduated has gotten a job either beforehand or directly afterwards. So about 100% for each year is what we're averaging now. And the reason for that is students can get jobs in a lot of different areas, different size hospitals, immediate care places. We've gotten students that have gotten jobs in doctors' offices. We've also had students that get jobs into additional modalities such as CAT scan, MRI, or interventional radiology or mammography. And so, but this is a prerequisite to get into those. So a lot of times they're in need. The hospitals are in need of those things or those areas, and so our students are being hired directly from X-ray school directly into these different modalities. So, but it is a prerequisite to have this done before you can do that. Now, afterwards, you are eligible to sit for the national certification exam. That is a national exam that you can use for no matter where you go. Now, you also have to have a separate license, and each state is different as far as the number of license or their requirements that you need. So you would need to explore what those requirements are, and on our website we have a link to take you to the ASRT, which is American Society of Radiologic Technologists. It actually gives you a link to all those different states. So, so in Kansas, it's got certain requirements, and then all the other different states may have something different. So you just have to do a little exploration on that as well. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Next up, we are not going to hear from our director of sonography, Brooke Ward, but she's unable to be with us tonight, and we have our clinical coordinator, Lindsay Harris, with us. I did want to give you Brooke's, what to expect if you were to come on a visit, what she looks like, and her contact information, but Lindsay Harris is going to give us some insight into the sonography program.
Thanks, Georgia. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, my name is Lindsay Harris, and I am the clinical coordinator for the Diagnostic Medical Sonography program here at Newman. A little bit about a sonographer, and a lot of people might be familiar a little bit about what we do, but basically what a sonographer does is uses a machine to take basically pictures with sound waves of different anatomy and physiology and pathology in the body. And then we write up a preliminary report to our findings and discuss with the physician about helping to diagnose a patient. A sonographer can specialize in a lot of different areas. It doesn't only have to be babies, which is what people think of when they think of sonography most of the time, but actually abdomen, breast, fetal echo, cardiac ultrasound, MSK, pediatric ultrasound, pediatric cardiology, or vascular. At Newman, we teach general and vascular ultrasound. So once you are out of the program, you will be able to sit for multiple different boards, including abdomen, OBGYN, and vascular ultrasound. So you would be able to work in a lot of different areas starting out of school. And then as you get more specialized, you can always take another registry as you become more just specialized in the area. And like 10 years into my profession, I decided I wanted to study fetal cardiac ultrasound. And so then I took a registry in that. And so now I'm specialized in doing fetal echoes too. At Newman, we have a 2-year program after your general education requirements. So it's a bachelor's degree, and our program runs from fall to fall, spring, summer, fall, and spring. The first year is didactics. So the fall and the spring of the first year, you're going to be taking all of your classes online and in class, and you will be practicing in our lab. And then the second year, you're going to be in clinicals starting in the summer to the fall, and then the spring semester. So you have about a year of 40 hours a week clinical time. We at our program sorry, I'm trying to find my stuff. Our application deadline is April 1st, and our GPA requirements for that is about a 3.0, but most of the people that apply have a closer to 3.5. So it's kind of more of a competitive program. At this time, we accept about 8 to 10. The job prospects for when you get out of the program are really good. I don't know of any student that, if they want to be employed, have not been able to find a job. A lot of the times, the clinical sites that they are in will hire them after graduation. So it's pretty likely that you're going to be able to get a job when you get out of school fast. You'll also, when you get out of school, you'll be eligible to sit for your registries, and that will get you certified nationally as a registered diagnostic medical sonographer, and you can practice all over the US. So I think that's about it for me.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Sure.
Before we move on to Q&A, I wanted to let you guys know about a benefit that we have here at Newman, really in the state of Kansas. It's called the Kansas Promise Act Scholarship. It was something that started around about the time that COVID came about. This is an offering from the state of Kansas. It is a need-based financial aid offer that also is dependent upon your major. And so the state of Kansas is offering an additional scholarship that you can earn if you are in the OTA, RadTech, or respiratory care programs specifically. You can see some of the eligibility and requirements on the screen, but if you were to happen to come to Newman, and you could potentially qualify for this. So we wanted to make you guys aware of it. If you'd like some more information, you can go to the Kansas Board of Regents website. They have lots of fine print on there that you can read more about, but we have had students taking advantage of this here at Newman. And we would love for you to, if you're in one of those 3 programs. The other thing that we offer here at Newman University, and Jeff, I don't know if you wanted to address it, we did have a student tonight that's interested in healthcare science, and maybe explain a little bit more what healthcare science is as a degree and who it's meant for, and how they can get into it, just briefly.
Sure. The healthcare science degree, it is a degree completion. But one of the things you have currently, the way it reads is that you have to be either in one of our healthcare science or healthcare programs, or you already have to have a graduate from one program from somewhere else. Okay, so again, it's a degree completion. It's not, it does get you a bachelor's degree, but we are changing the curriculum this year to start probably of next year. And so it would be a little more robust for maybe a degree because we're trying to change it to where anybody can come into it, not just someone in one of these programs. And so once we do that, it'll be more of a robust exam or robust career to kind of give you a maybe to go on to get a master's in public health or something like that. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. Here on the screen now, I'm going to look this up while we're doing Q&A. This is our program directors for each of our programs, their name, their contact information. So if you are interested in this, you can screenshot it, keep it with you. This is how you can get a hold of each of these directors if you have additional questions. At this time, we're going to go straight into Q&A. So I'll be in the background kind of moderating that. You guys are welcome to use the chat function on Zoom to chat your questions, and we'll get to them just as they're submitted. I do have a few that were submitted in advance on the RSVP, so I wanted to ask some of those. The first one being for you, Jeff. What's the current demand for rad tech positions in Wichita? And what percentage of time is classroom versus hands-on learning and shadowing?
Well, for the rad tech, as far as being needed, in Wichita, they do not have enough of them. I can tell you that right now. I mean, they are begging for X-ray techs because they can do, as an X-ray tech, you're going to end up going to the operating room, you're going to work in the emergency room, and fluoroscopy. I mean, there's a lot of different areas that they need technologists to do. And so it's that's why a lot of our techs are, again, they're in need of diagnostic techs, but they're also in need of and to go into the modalities. A lot of these people or companies that are hospitals and local in Wichita, I mean, they're paying a lot of money just for sign-on bonuses, especially for those that are doing different modalities or multi-modalities. So as far as our for hands-on versus the didactic or the book work, we by the time you graduate, you'll have about 1,400 hours of clinical time. We have to do it that way because we can't make people get sick and we can't make them get hurt, right? Just to do X-rays. So we have to wait on them to come to us, and we end up rotating you through different areas. different hospitals, different size hospitals. Everyone goes to smaller clinics, smaller hospitals, and the reason for that is usually the patient population is different in for each place that you go, but also they do things differently, and you get to kind of get an idea of where you want to work when you graduate. So there at our facility at Newman, and in our classroom, we do have a lab that actually is energized, so you can actually make exposures. Doing that, obviously, we don't make them of each other, but we do have phantoms that you can practice on and things like that. So so you get it, and not only that, we start with the clinicals the very first semester, usually the second 8 weeks, and then it's every semester from then on. So and each semester is going to be different as far as how many days a week that you will be doing clinical time.
Thanks, Jeff. I think I have another one for you. What are the 6 prerequisite courses for the program, and is that on top of general education classes, or is that the only thing they need for prereqs to your program?
It is not on top of general education. It is the only prereqs that you need. You're going to need like college writing 1. You're going to need speech or oral communication classes. You're going to have anatomy and physiology classes. Now, I'll come back to that in just a second, but you're going to also need college algebra and medical terminology. Usually the medical terminology, you can get that online no matter where you go, but and it's the same. No, it's the same here for Newman. But here at Newman for the anatomy and physiology, just be aware that we do split it up to where you can have anatomy and the lab. It's 2 separate courses, but you take them at the same time. You take that one semester, and then you take physiology and the lab in a different semester. So it does have some little nuances to it. So, but it's not that many courses that you need. So,
Jeff, you're popular tonight. Next one is also for you. Do you have to become a rad tech before becoming a radiologist?
You do not. The rad tech, I know a few of them that have gone on to be a radiologist, which are radiologists are physicians. And so just be aware that you're going to need to get into medical school, which is, once you get in, it's going to be 4 years of medical school. And then you end up doing another 4 years of residency. And then you can go and specialize in different areas, such as Lindsay mentioned, MSK, which is musculoskeletal. It's just but you do not, it's not necessary to be an x-ray tech to become a radiologist, because they are physicians.
Thank you. Our next question from a prospective student is for all of the programs. What is the approximate entry-level starting salary for each of your programs? I assume in the Wichita area. We'll go with that.
For nursing, the starting salary usually is around $25 an hour. Would be the hourly rate, but because in healthcare and working in hospitals, we cover 7 days of the week, 24 hours out of the day. There's also some extra pay that gets added on for working different shifts, different times of the day, working on weekends or working holidays. So typically the starting nursing wage would be around 55 to 60,000 a year, and then could be more than that depending on where you are working and any extra work that you are doing besides a regular shift work.
Should I go next, I guess?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
For respiratory therapy, the starting wage is also about $25 an hour. As Teresa mentioned, there's also differentials for working weekends and nights. And then for the last 2-3 years, because of COVID, there have been other bonuses added on to many respiratory therapists' wages. And these bonuses are on top of it, so they can range anywhere from like $10 to another $20 an hour in bonus pay. So if you want to, it's a very similar number to what Teresa said, but depending on how much extra you work, if you do some of those extra shifts and get that crisis pay, you can make a significant amount of money. For 3 semesters, I mean, it's a pretty good deal.
Who hasn't gone yet? Lindsay?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. So I would say the mean annual salary is around probably like $78,000 a year. But as starting out, depending on where you are as a new grad, I would probably say between $25 to $28 an hour. But again, that depends on what shift you're working at. Hospital, second, third shift gets shift differentials. And so you would have a higher starting salary there. And then you can also work on the weekends or a PRN, and they tend to have a higher salary. So it kind of just depends on what you want to do. But I would say probably in a clinic starting out about $25 to $28 an hour.
Gotcha. Did everybody go? Jeff, did you answer that one?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
So the in 2018, the median salary was for X-ray was about $54,000. Nowadays, especially after COVID, we're probably starting, students are starting out probably anywhere between the 22 and 25 range. And once you get into other modalities, or obviously that's going to increase, but like we've all been saying, once you get into the different shift differentials, some of them are making, in the $30 hour range. So just depends on where you work, because it makes a difference on what type of facility that you work at, as how much you made. Obviously, the ones that work in a doctor's office, maybe your quality of life is a little bit better, but your pay may not be as much. So, as you would probably get in a, level 1 trauma hospital. So it just depends on where you decide to work.
Thanks, everybody. I have another question that was submitted in advance. Are any of your programs available for full-time working adults? We do get questions pretty frequently about healthcare programs that can be done online. Not really something that we offer here at Newman, but what in general, if someone was in the professional phase of your program, what they need to consider as far as schedule and availability?
Well, for nursing, there really is well, actually, probably pretty muchly for healthcare providers, healthcare professionals across the board, pretty limited availability of it being an online education. There is a large component of these educations that really are about hands-on and learning skills and developing that, hand motor skills. Also, it's looking at really becoming comfortable in the practice. So there's lots of time in clinical settings. So, in that entry level, like pre-licensing into a healthcare profession, rarely are they going to be an online option. For the same reason of that need to consistently be gaining the knowledge and applying it and using it, you usually don't see them part-time either. For nursing, as I said earlier, our program is 4 semesters, and we can allow up to 6 semesters to actually complete the program. So somebody could go at a little slower pace, but it's really not part-time to finish. It still stays pretty much like a full-time program. Our students are in class about 5 days a week, And that can be anywhere from half a day to a full day that they're in class or lab or in a clinical setting.
I'll go ahead and go. I would say our first year students can probably work part-time if they manage their time correctly. But the course load is pretty heavy for that first year. However, you're not in clinicals yet and you're doing coursework. So we encourage people, if they need to work during that time, that they are really saving up money and working that first year, because the second year they're in clinicals 40 hours a week and there really isn't time to have a full-time job. Some of our students work on the weekends or after clinicals, but I wouldn't even say they could work part-time at that time because they're in clinicals like 8 to 5 every day or so. And that's kind of how we have it laid out, that we encourage, if you're going to work the first year. And we have lab days, but we give those to you in advance so that you can plan your schedule if you are working. But then to be prepared that the second year, you're not going to be able to work as much.
I guess I'll go next. As far as working during school, the first semester, we're sort of like Lindsay, there is some time that is available during the schedule where you could work some hours in your current job, for example, but I think it would be kind of hard to fit in full-time hours. As the courses go on into second semester and third semester, we start introducing clinical hours, and sometimes it's quite significant, up to 36 hours a week plus 4 hours of classes on another day. So that's already kind of a, that's 40 hours a week, right? It's kind of like a job. So school then becomes like a job, and then it makes it very difficult to have a full-time job at the same time. Just trying to be honest with you. And but considering the short duration of the program, it might be worth the short-term loss of income so that you can have that high-paying job after graduation. So sometimes you got to look at it that way.
Thank you. Did everybody get to go on that one?
No, I'll go,
Oh, okay.
Georgia. For radiology, pretty much all of our students work at least part-time. It's like we've all been saying, it's pretty difficult to work a full-time job while you're going to it, because you have a lot of the clinical pieces that have to be done. Now, if you look, and then, but after you graduate, there's different ways that you can, if you want to continue, especially out of the Rad Tech program, if you want to continue on your schooling, you can do that. But we have had some students to go on from radiology technology into sonography, just directly into sonography. But at that point, the ones when you can work is also you can work as a PRN, which is as needed, especially if you don't need the benefits. But usually, if you're working PRN, you're usually getting a higher pay because they don't have to pay you benefits. And so that's a possibility while you're going, if you want to continue on with your schooling. So like Tim said, a lot of it is you have you got a short term, and do all your work, and so you can have that higher paying job when you're done.
I did forget to mention one thing for respiratory care. We do have many of our students get a student respiratory therapist license, which enables them to work during the program as a student respiratory therapist. And oftentimes they find that job pays a little bit better than their current part-time job or full-time, not their full-time wages, but like a part-time stint. So you can kind of work less hours while getting a decent amount of money that you can use towards tuition and books and other life expenses. So, but again, with all of these programs, I think you have to be careful balancing. Is it worth working all those hours and then possibly not doing so well academically and not being able to graduate, which means you then can't get your license and work, right? So your primary goal should be to graduate, get your credentials, get your license, and work the good paying job.
Thanks all. I have one more question that we're going to do before we move into a little bit of admissions info and close it up. And I'm going to go back because it may need to reference these. We'll start with respiratory care. It's a double question. Would you ever admit someone into the program that doesn't meet the minimum GPA? And how many people do you typically have apply for the number of spots that you are being offered?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. For the last few years, we haven't been filling classes. So as long as someone is qualified, we've been accepting applications as they roll in. And then the other question, was it the minimum GPA? Is that right?
Yes. Would you ever
Okay.
admit someone under your minimum required GPA that's showing here?
And so, you know, I think that's something that needs to be looked on a case-by-case basis with the history and body of work. But generally speaking, that is our minimum required GPA. But if it's something that's fairly close and we can look at your body of work and your course, like maybe you had a non-passing grade on a piece of core curriculum, and then more recently you took it and did better and you have a higher grade, that's something we can definitely consider and take a look at. So
Thank you. Teresa, what say you on nursing?
We pretty much stay to that 2.85 of a minimum grade point average. Now, sometimes we'll have somebody who applies and we'll go ahead and do an interview, and they maybe are currently enrolled in classes at that time, and we will kind of hold on to that and look at it once their new grades come in at the end of the semester. And if it happens to bring that GPA up at that point in time, and we still have open positions in the class, then we would certainly, change that to a GPA that does meet the minimum and allow them to go ahead and start in the program. So what was the other question?
About how many applications do you get for each term where you're admitting?
It usually just kind of depends on the semester. Since we do both fall and spring semester, ours changes. We have more students apply for the fall semester. We're accepting 32 students, and we usually will have somewhere between 50 to 60 or 70 applications for the fall. For the spring, that may be a much smaller. And so for those 32 openings, we may have like maybe 40 or 50 applications. And sometimes especially that spring, we won't fill the full class because the applications that we get will be a smaller number that are looking to come in the spring.
Cool, thanks. Jeff, that's you next. Would you ever admit someone under that GPA, and about how many apps do you get for that number of spots?
Well, normally we do not admit ones under that GPA. And the reason for that is because we have enough quality candidates. Like this year, we had 39 applicants and we accepted 26. Now, some of those, we had a wait list. And the reason for that is because some of them, I think we encourage students for sonography, one of the requirements for them is to have either physics 1 or radiation physics. And so at Newman, to get into the physics 1, it is a requirement to have trigonometry. So we really don't want to add any more classes to sonography's curriculum. And so I allow them to come and take my class, which is not a prerequisite for that. And so but also we encourage students to take, because we start each fall, we encourage them to apply to sonography and to radiology at the same time. They accept 10, and we can probably, like this year, we accepted 26. So that way, I think we had 4 this year that actually applied to both, but 4 of them got accepted into sonography as well, and that's what they chose. So it's always nice to have an option or a choice, so you don't miss out on being in one of a great program. So we normally have, like I said, the GPA is usually around about the 3.0 mark. So I haven't, since I've been here, we haven't really deviated from that 2.75 GPA.
Thank you. Lindsay, do you want to address that? Do you guys ever admit anyone under a 3.0, and about how many applications do you get for the number of spots you have each fall?
Yeah, I don't believe that we have really gone below 3.0, because of the same thing that Teresa and Jeff are saying. We have quite a few quality candidates that meet that requirement, so we haven't had to kind of bridge that gap. However, we always look on a personal basis. So if there was, you have to look at the whole person. So if there was, for some reason, a time where a person had failed a class, but they're retaking it during the application time, we will wait on their GPA to see how they do in that class. But most of the time we really do stick to 3.0, and most of the people that do get into the program have a closer to 3.5 GPA. We usually have about 20 to 25 applicants. We take 10. We have spots for 10 students right now. So about 50% can be accepted. We do, like Jeff said, we do encourage people to apply for both the radiological technology and the diagnostic medical sonography program. So if they don't get accepted into one, they might be able to get accepted into another, and they're both great programs. They kind of, well, from personal experience, I went through the X-ray program, then went into ultrasound. I really feel like that benefited me a lot. So you wouldn't be missing out on going through radiology first.
Thanks, everybody. I think we're gonna close out the questions there. I don't have any more in the chat or any that were submitted in advance, but I wouldn't be an admissions person if I didn't give you a little bit of information about next steps and what to consider. If you are someone who's thinking about starting classes at Newman in spring 23, summer 23, or fall 23, that application is now open. If you're someone who's maybe thinking about 2024, that application will open August 1st of next year. But the application for 23 is open now. It's online. I put it in the chat. It's newmanu.edu/apply. It is completely free to apply online. There is also no essay, no personal statement, and no recommendation. So I can tell you from experience, the application maybe takes 10 or 15 minutes. Students, when you apply, if you are a first-time college student, that means that you are coming to us out of high school. If you've had some concurrent credit or college credit that you took during or the summer after high school, still a first-time college student. If you graduated high school and started at a college or university, any post-secondary experience would be considered a transfer. Transfer or first time, all you need to be admitted at Newman is a 2.25 GPA. And then obviously you do need to make sure that you have the minimum GPA for the program that you are seeking to apply for. If you are admitted, you are also offered a scholarship pretty much automatically. We put it right in your acceptance letter. For first-time students, it is based on either your GPA or your ACT, whichever gives you more money. Newman has been test optional since fall of 2019. So first-time students, you can send us an ACT or an SAT, but you don't have to. No matter what, we have to have an official transcript from your high school. And I'm showing you both here because we'll admit you on whatever gets you more money. So if you have a 2.5 GPA, but you've got a 25 on the ACT, you get this $14,000. If you have a 22 on the ACT, but you have a stellar GPA, you can get $16,000. All of these amounts are per year for 4 years, and you just have to maintain a 2.0 to keep it from year to year. There's no reapplication or anything like that. For you first-time students on the call, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have a full-time scholarship or a full tuition scholarship that we give out each year that you can apply and compete for. We have an honors program with a scholarship. We have scholarships for community service, athletics, music, you name it, there's probably a scholarship for it. One of the biggest misconceptions about Newman is that because we're a private university that we aren't affordable. I would beg to differ. Yes, our tuition is a little bit higher, cost of attendance is a little bit higher, but we have some really generous scholarship programs. And I think that Newman could be a really good option for you, especially if you're looking at the healthcare professions. So go through the process, apply scholarship, go through financial aid, and see, compare and contrast. Now, if you're on the call and you're transferring or you're thinking about transferring from another college or university, we would love to talk to you. One, when you apply and you get accepted, we do a full workup of your transfer credit from the registrar's office, and we can tell you, you're thinking about applying for nursing for fall 23. We'll tell you, here's all the prereqs you still need before you can apply for the program. We'll even have guides on how you can get those done at some of the local 2-year colleges in Kansas, where we have articulation agreements. For transfer students, we'll look at your cumulative transfer GPA across all your college transcripts, and you're awarded automatically at the time of acceptance, anywhere between $11,000 to $15,000. These are also per year for 2 years, although if you need an additional semester or a year to finish your degree, you can appeal for a little bit more scholarship time. And those go from 2.25 all the way up to 3.9 plus. Transfer students, we also have some additional opportunities. If you are coming to us after achieving your associate's degree, we have a little add-on incentive grant for that. If you are at a community college and you've been a PTK member and it shows on your transcript, we also have one for that. So check us out. Transfers can also do honors, music, athletics, very generous. And I know some of our programs like nursing have program-based scholarships that you can apply for as a new incoming or current student. We'd love to talk to you. Think about applying. Like I said, it's free. You'll be assigned an admissions counselor to really help you through this process. And if you're interested in making an individual visit to meet one-on-one with some of these faculty, take a tour of campus, that link is in the chat as well. And we would love, love, love to have you on campus. We're going to send you a packet with some more information in the mail with a little bit of swag. So we hope you decide to apply. Any closing words from program directors? Follow us on social media. I wouldn't be admissions if I didn't tell you to do that too. Twitter and Facebook mostly, but also we love our TikToks and we're on Instagram as well. So follow us. Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you coming tonight. We are going to share out this recording as well. If you go to YouTube and search for FlyNewmanU, we have an admissions YouTube page, and we'll be putting a recording of tonight's event up there. So if you didn't take notes, it's okay. You recorded. You can share it with mom and dad, family and friends. If you have a friend who's also thinking about healthcare, this might be a good way for them to learn more about these. We'll be hosting another one of these in November, as well as January and March, as we're ramping up to close our application in the spring. So keep an eye out for those. Good night, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for spending some time with us. See ya.